Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert T. Kiyosaki is not just a book about money, it is a story about two fathers, two ways of thinking, and two very different paths in life, through simple storytelling and real-life lessons. The book explains why some people struggle financially their entire lives, while others build wealth, even without earning massive salaries. At its core, the book teaches that financial success is less about how much money you make, and more about how you think about money. Robert Kiyosaki grew up with two father figures. His poor dad was his biological father. Highly educated, intelligent, and hardworking. He believed strongly in formal education, job security, and climbing the corporate ladder. He often said things like, "Study hard so you can get a good job," and he believed that a steady paycheck and benefits were the safest path in life. Despite his intelligence, Poor Dad struggled financially and lived paycheck to paycheck. On the other hand, Rich Dad was the father of Robert Esabe's friend. He had little formal education, but was a successful businessman. Rich Dad thought differently. He believed that schools failed to teach people about money, and that working for money without understanding it kept people trapped. His mindset was simple but powerful. The rich don't work for money. Money works for them. One of the book's most important lessons is the difference between assets and liabilities. Poor Dad believed that a house was an asset because it provided stability. Rich Dad disagreed. He taught that an asset is something that puts money in your pocket, while a liability takes money out. According to Rich Dad, if your house costs you mortgage payments, taxes, and maintenance without generating income, it is a liability. This lesson challenges traditional thinking and forces readers to rethink what they truly own. Another key idea in the book is that fear and greed control most people's financial lives. People work hard because they fear not having money, and when they get paid, they spend it because they want comfort and pleasure. This cycle repeats endlessly. Rich Dad taught Robert that learning to control emotions around money is essential. Instead of reacting with fear or desire, wealthy people pause, think, and make strategic decisions. The book also emphasizes the importance of financial education. Kiyosaki argues that schools teach people how to be employees, but not how to manage money, invest, or build businesses. As a result, many highly educated people struggle financially. Rich Dad encouraged learning about accounting, investing, real estate, and business ownership, not to become experts overnight, but to understand how money flows. One of the most powerful storytelling moments in the book is when Rich Dad pays young Robert and his friend very little money for their work. When the boys complain, Rich Dad explains that feeling underpaid is part of the lesson. Most people accept low pay and job dissatisfaction because they don't see alternatives. Rich Dad wanted them to think creatively and learn how to create opportunities instead of waiting for raises or promotions. Kiyosaki also discusses the rat race, a term used to describe the endless cycle of working, earning, spending, and borrowing. Poor Dad believed that promotions and salary increases were the way out. Rich Dad believed the only real escape was building assets that generate passive income that continues even when you stop working. Another important lesson is the value of taking risks and learning from failure. Poor Dad avoided risk and believed mistakes were something to fear. Rich Dad believed mistakes were teachers. He taught that losing money is part of learning how to make money. The key is to fail small, learn fast, and move forward smarter. The book also explains why taxes and debt affect the poor and middle class differently than the rich. Rich Dad used corporations and investments legally to reduce taxes and grow wealth, while Poor Dad paid taxes first and lived on what remained. This difference in strategy creates a huge gap over time. In the end, Rich Dad, Poor Dad is not about choosing one father over the other. It's about choosing which mindset you want to follow. The book encourages readers to question traditional beliefs, take responsibility for their financial education, and understand that wealth is built through knowledge, discipline, and long-term thinking. The story resonates because it is simple, relatable, and honest. It doesn't promise instant riches. Instead, it offers a new way of seeing the world, one where money is a tool, not a master. For anyone who wants to understand how wealth really works, Rich Dad, Poor Dad is not just a book, it's a wake-up call.